do better. I could do better. I could do better than that. And you should know.
What's up guys, it's BT here, and I know you guys have been feeding for some new keyboard content. I seen it in my last Wu-Tang 60HE video that you guys were thanking the heavens that I dropped a keyboard video, so I want to do some more for you guys. All right, so today we have the Mode Envoy. Now Mode has been doing some interesting things within the keyboard space. They've been giving premium products without the premium prices, and they keep doing interesting things every time they drop a new keyboard. It's never just the same thing over and over again. And today we have again a new mounting style in the Mode Envoy. And another thing that Mode has been doing that other companies haven't been doing in the keyboard space is quick turnarounds. These can come to you as soon as July if you were to order today. So no more waiting 2.5 years to get your keyboard. I'm talking to you, Rama. So the base configuration is going to set you back $190 for everything, the case, the PCB, all the screws, and then depending on what kind of weight you get, the price will go up and down. This build that I have here is $210 for the multicolor band across the back and the multicolor weight. They have a bunch of different things that you can add. One thing that I wish they would have just added in the box is the foam kit. You have to pay an extra $12 for that. I wish it just came with the keyboard already. Just bump up the price a little bit if you have to, or just keep the price the same and add it in there. Just seems like one other add-on that people could miss while ordering this keyboard. Now the color I went with was the Mirage with the multicolor weight and the band across the back, navy. It's like a light navy, very pleasant color. I've been digging the FR4 plates lately. They offer a nice balance between thock and clack. Overall, this was one of the fastest builds that I've ever done when it comes to a keyboard. The case is one piece. There's no screwing the top and bottom together. And for me, somebody that doesn't have a lot of extra time to spend taking things apart, screwing the bottom, it's just nice to have it sit down into the case. All you have to do is lube your stabilizers. I went with the Durock V2s, which they offer on their site. The Krytox 205 grade 0 lube in the housing and some HXT BDZ for the wires. And I didn't have to do much work to them at all to get them to sound good. Now in the sound test, I'm going to do both without the foam and with the foam, but I prefer the foam kit with this. So I definitely recommend spending the extra $12 on it. One is the plate foam, so your switches will sit on it, and then they have some PCB foam which will sit and soak up a lot of the extra reverb, and it'll definitely give you more of a poppy sound compared to just going raw dog with the switch on the plate case. But before you put everything in, make sure you put in and screw in the weight on the bottom of the case. They also have an interesting design here where you put the feet here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but these stick through the weight. These little feet pads, pretty interesting design. But one thing that I keep running into with this is that it keeps tilting. Like the keyboard itself, if you press on the top row, it's gonna like kind of rock a little bit, which I do not like. So I do kind of wish that they put the feet, just regular normal feet, towards the back of the keyboard. That way there's not as much leverage on it. Like, look at that. You know what I mean? There's less leverage on this top piece, especially when typing. See, like if I type on the top, there's that. I don't like that. This isn't a tray mount system, but instead it's an actual lattice mount block system. And they give you two different ones in the box. So they're gonna give you a black one, which is the stiffer typing experience. Then they also give you a gray one, which has these kind of like perforated or holes in it, and it flexes more. Now that's the one that I went with because I just love flex on my keyboard and a soft bottom mount. But if you like a stiffer typing experience, then just go with the black. And that's something that Mode does really well, is if you're a beginner, you can find out what you like. They give you two different options, so you get the most out of your keyboard. Maybe you want a different feel to your keyboard one day, or you get a different switch and you want to play around with it. Mode keyboards are a great way to just play around with your keyboard. Now the switches I went with were the Mode Obscura. I actually heard that these are like the new top tier linear switches, so I was excited to try them. They're already lightly factory lubed with Krytox 205 grade 0 lube. No more of that cheap oil stuff that God knows what they were putting in the switches before. But I love that we're getting to a point where we have quality lube within the switches stock. So again, saving you time on the build process. And since they're lightly lubed, if you do want to add more, you can also add more. So the PCB and the plate have 4 different screws on them that you screw together, and then you just sit them onto the mount block. So you have to put it in from the bottom and then drop it onto the top 4. There's 2 at the bottom. Since the plate and PCB are sitting on these mount blocks, this does move around a lot. It adds a lot of flexibility and movement. And to keep it somewhat in place, they have these 2 big screws with O-rings around them. Now these O-rings, you can tighten them all the way down, you can crank it. and the keyboard doesn't move or flex as much. So I left it just like I tightened it, but I didn't crank it. And I much prefer the flex and feel of it doing it that way. One thing I did notice about this mount block is that at the corners, it is very flexy. Like this thing tilts. And there's a lot of inconsistency in the sound, like from different places on the keyboard. Like the bottom right sounds completely different than the top left, than the top right, bottom left. Like it just sounds different. And the flex is different at every point of the keyboard, and I'd say like the extremes are in the very corners. So it's not a perfect mounting system, and some people might not like that. I'm not really a fan. I think maybe if they put some of the mount blocks on the side as well, that could kind of curb some of that like dippiness that's on this keyboard. Is that a word, dippiness? So the reason why I chose this whole color combination was for the GMK Hammerhead. I've been wanting to use this GMK set for the longest time, and I haven't been able to because I just don't have the right color. And I think this actually like came out really nicely. The colors play so nicely together. And I'm sorry if you didn't get the GMK Hammerhead after seeing this video, because it was sitting for the longest time. Now they're sold out, so you gotta wait for, I don't even know if they're gonna do round 2, but all right, so enough talking. We're gonna do a sound test of the mode Envoy so you guys can hear what this keyboard sounds like. I did a sound test without the foam, with the foam, so you guys can hear the difference between the two. Definitely is a clacky keyboard, especially without the foam in there. It's just like a wild buck. It's just all over the place. When you have the plate foam and the PCB foam and the case foam, it really kind of tapers it a little bit and makes it, kind of smooths it out. It makes it a nice gentle clack, which is what I prefer. Now, I'm a thocky guy myself, but if I were to have a clack, this is what I would want. So some things I don't like about the keyboard, like I said, it's very inconsistent when it comes to the flex. Like the corners are just super flexy and bouncy, and then I just don't like the keyboard feet here. I would rather just, like, it's an interesting design, but I'd rather have the keyboard feet here. That's one thing I don't like, just because of that tipping factor. Some things I love about the keyboard is the flex. It is a gift and a curse. Like I said, the corners are weird, but the flex is very nice to type on. I do love the actual look of the keyboard. They did a really nice job with the design, with the band and the weight on the bottom. I love how easy it is to build. I love this new mounting system. They did a lot of good things for this keyboard. And like I said, the inconsistency and the flex just isn't for me, but hey, it could be for you. That's the whole beauty of the keyboard space, is that what works for some people might work for others. And I love the quick turnaround time for this. You can get this by July. But for me, I'm just a huge fan of their previous keyboards like this Sonnet. That one just speaks to me more than this keyboard. All right, so if you enjoyed this review of the Mode Envoy, let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more keyboard content. All right, guys, it has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.